Welcome, traveler of the stars. You've arrived at the Infinite Scientist, where science dreams in the language of the cosmos. Tonight, we drift into the quiet heart of existence, to listen for the sound that hides between seconds and to learn what it means when we say that time never truly stops. If you find beauty in the mysteries of the universe, let your curiosity rest here. Subscribe and dream with us beneath the stars, far beyond the hum of human life. In the silent architecture of the universe, something breathes. It is not the breath of lungs or wind, but a rhythm deeper than sound, the pulse of existence itself. Every atom, every photon, every flicker of being seems to move in step with this unseen tempo. Between one heartbeat and the next, between one flicker of light and its fading shadow, there is a pause so thin it almost doesn't exist, and yet everything lives within it. We call it time. But time is not a line, nor a number ticking forward in certainty. It is the slow exhale of reality, an invisible current moving through all things. From the dance of galaxies to the trembling of a single electron, time is the breath that keeps the cosmos alive. Without it, even light would have nowhere to go. When we speak of time, we imagine clocks, little machines of certainty. Their hands march in patient circles, pretending they understand the vastness they measure. But a clock is only a mirror, a reflection of something far older, far quieter. Before the first mechanism ever ticked, before the first creature learned to count the seasons, time already moved through the universe like blood through a body. It shaped stars and sculpted silence. It was there when the first atom formed from chaos, and it will linger when the last light fades. In the beginning, there was no before or after. The universe did not yet know the meaning of change. Then came the moment we now call the Big Bang. Not an explosion, but an awakening. In that instant, energy learned how to stretch, space learned how to expand, and time learned how to flow. It was as if the cosmos took its first breath, and that breath has never ended. Everything since then, galaxies, planets, you, this very word, is part of that single, continuous exhalation, and yet we rarely notice it. We live inside time as fish live inside water. We cannot touch it, though it touches everything we are. Seconds pass like falling leaves, hours drift like tides, and still we ask where time goes, unaware that it never leaves at all. Time is not something that moves away from us. It moves through us, shaping our memories, carving the lines on our faces, whispering the stories of what once was and what will be. Scientists tell us that time and space are not separate threads, but one single fabric. Spacetime. When something moves or something changes, the weave trembles. Matter bends it, gravity stretches it, and we, tiny beings made of stardust, are carried along by its flow. But beneath all equations and theories lies a more delicate truth. Time is not just physics. It is the feeling of becoming. Imagine the smallest moment possible, a heartbeat, a blink, the flicker of a candle. Inside it exists everything: birth, motion, decay, renewal. The universe does not see moments as we do. To it, there is no beginning, no end, only the continuous unfolding of what is. The photon leaving a star 1 billion years ago is still on its way, still part of that same ancient breath. When you look at the night sky, you are seeing not the past, but time itself, stretched thin and glowing. To think that time might stop is to imagine the breath of the universe held forever. But even black holes, those cosmic abysses that freeze the flow of seconds, still hum with the echo of time. Deep inside their darkness, the rules may twist, yet the rhythm persists. For even in stillness, the idea of before and after lingers, the faint outline of the cosmic inhale that once began it all. Perhaps time never stops because it was never truly moving. Perhaps it simply is, an eternal now unfolding endlessly while we, bound by perception, experience it one heartbeat at a time. The ticking of a clock is not the sound of time passing, it is the sound of our attempt to listen to something that has no sound. And in our listening, something beautiful happens. We begin to feel the weight of existence, the miracle of change. We understand that every second, no matter how ordinary, is a fragment of eternity. The light of a star may fade, but the moment it shone still exists, etched into the structure of space-time like a memory the universe will never forget. So when you pause and listen to your breath, to the hum of your thoughts, remember that you are hearing the same rhythm that began 13.8 billion years ago. The same pulse that carries galaxies through the dark also moves through you. Time does not pass. It flows around you, through you, within you. You are part of its endless breath, and when you close your eyes and silence fills the space between moments, you are not stepping outside of time. You are meeting it. Quietly, as an old friend, in that stillness, perhaps you can feel it, the faint exhale of the universe itself, breathing, just once more. Far before there were minds to measure or machines to tick, there was only expansion, silent, infinite, unmeasured. The universe had just been born, and it did not yet know how to count. There were no beginnings, no endings, no rhythm to follow, only a newborn ocean of energy stretching outward, without direction, without pause, without awareness. But somewhere in that formless flood, patterns began to shimmer, gentle ripples of difference, pockets of unevenness that would one day become everything. It was within these ripples that the first meaning of before and after took root. One event followed another, and with that, time began to remember itself. The universe had learned the first rule of counting, that existence can only be understood through change. Each vibration, each tiny imbalance in the newborn cosmos marked a kind of cosmic syllable, the first language of becoming. In those first moments, everything that would ever exist was suspended in chaos. Particles blinked into existence and vanished, born from quantum uncertainty, the restless sea of probability that hums beneath all reality. It was a place where numbers had no home, where cause and effect were still learning how to hold hands. And yet, out of this apparent disorder emerged something remarkable: order itself. The universe began to organize. Energy condensed into matter, matter gathered into atoms, and atoms began their long, luminous pilgrimage toward becoming stars. This gradual alignment, this rhythm of unfolding, was the universe's first attempt at keeping time, not through clocks or cycles, but through transformation. Every change, every reaction, every movement forward was a kind of counting written in the fabric of space-time. The birth of time, then, was not about seconds or hours. It was about relationship. One thing existing after another. In the symmetry of the cosmos, patterns arose that could be repeated, mirrored, and measured. Hydrogen and helium began to dance to the same rhythm. Light became a messenger carrying news from one moment to the next. The pulse of expansion slowed, but it never stopped. Scientists today call this era the Planck epoch, a time so brief that even the word brief collapses under its weight. In that instant, less than a trillionth of a second, the laws of physics as we know them were born. Gravity found its place beside quantum fields. The universe cooled just enough for matter to take shape. In a way, that was the moment when the cosmos first opened its eyes and saw that events could be counted. Counting, at its heart, is a kind of remembering. To count something is to say, this came after that. The human mind would later inherit that instinct, turning it into mathematics, calendars, and atomic clocks. But long before any human gaze looked skyward, the stars were already keeping score. Their fusion hearts pulsed with precise rhythm. Seconds defined not by gears, but by light. Every flicker of a star is a measurement. Every orbit of a planet is a record. The universe is filled with these natural clocks, pulsars spinning in perfect intervals, radioactive elements decaying with quiet regularity, galaxies drifting apart at speeds we can measure. Each one marks a step in the infinite counting of creation, and yet, for all its precision, time is never still. Counting does not stop the flow. It only helps us notice it. Even as physicists build instruments that can measure the vibration of an atom to a billionth of a second, time continues. Silent, unhurried, indifferent to the numbers we assign it. To count time is to chase a river with a net made of words. Still, our counting gives meaning. It allows us to tell stories, to know that there was a yesterday and there will be a tomorrow. It allows stars to be born and die, and for us to name their deaths as supernovae. It allows atoms within us to trace their ancestry back to the first minutes of creation. We are not separate from this cosmic arithmetic. We are part of it. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, they were all counted out in stellar furnaces that measured their lives in light years. But there's another kind of counting that hides behind the science. It is not numerical. It is emotional. The way a sunset feels longer than a morning, or how a heartbeat can stretch an eternity when you wait for someone's answer. The universe counts moments not just through movement, but through meaning. The ticking of a human clock and the flicker of a dying star are both forms of remembrance. Both say, I was here, I changed, I became, and so time continues its quiet accounting. Galaxies drift farther apart, not lost, but measured by their motion. Even the expanding universe is a kind of cosmic clock, ticking ever outward, marking the seconds of eternity with the distance between worlds. One day, perhaps, when all energy is evenly spread and nothing moves, counting itself will end. But not yet. The universe is still learning. When we look up at the night sky, we are peering into a cosmic ledger. Each photon a time stamp, a message from a moment that once was. The starlight we see tonight left its home long before humans existed. By the time it reaches us, those stars may already be gone. But their light continues to count their existence, whispering across eons, refusing to be forgotten. In that way, counting is not about control or measurement. It is about memory. The universe counts because it remembers what it has been. And in remembering, it becomes something more. Perhaps that is why time never truly stops. Because to stop counting would be to forget. And the universe, vast and old as it is, remembers everything, every flicker, every silence, every heartbeat that ever echoed through its endless dark. Somewhere between the beginning and whatever lies beyond, the universe keeps its tally, not in numbers, but in moments, each one precious, each one eternal. And as we live our own small seconds beneath its expanding breath, we are helping it count. Deep beneath everything we can touch or see, there is a rhythm so ancient that even stars obey it. It is not a ticking sound nor a beat that can be heard. It is the hidden clockwork of the cosmos, the quiet, invisible pulse that guides every atom, every orbit, every flicker of light. This is the clock beneath creation, and it never stops. If you could peel back the fabric of space itself, you would not find gears or pendulums, but fields, rippling oceans of energy that give birth to everything we call real. The smallest vibrations within them define the tempo of the universe. Each quantum of energy oscillates, creating the rhythm we experience as existence. Like waves on the surface of a vast unseen sea, they rise and fall again and again, measuring the passing of reality itself. Before there were stars, before matter even existed, these waves of probability were already moving, already keeping time in their silent way. And from their interference patterns, their meetings and collisions, the first moments of structure were born. Space expanded, matter crystallized, and temperature began to fall. It was as if an orchestra had just tuned its strings, ready for the first note of creation. Scientists call this rhythm the Planck scale, the smallest measurable unit of time, so brief that it defies imagination. A single second contains more Planck moments than there are atoms in the known universe. And yet, every one of those invisible instants is real. They are the smallest heartbeats of time's eternal clock, the indivisible ticks that carry existence forward. If you could slow the universe enough to see them, you would witness something astonishing, creation happening again and again at unimaginable speed. Every fraction of a moment, the universe recreates itself, not from scratch, but from continuity. The future constantly replaces the present, which quietly joins the past. This is the heartbeat of being, the pulse that never ceases. We often imagine time as a smooth river, but at this level it is more like a flicker, an unending sequence of snapshots too fast for us to perceive. Reality, in its purest form, blinks. We experience those blinks as motion, sound, and change. But beneath them lies an almost imperceptible rhythm, as if the universe itself were breathing in frames of existence. The most delicate part of this cosmic clock is that it requires no hand to wind it. It winds itself. Gravity, energy, and quantum motion are all bound together in an endless feedback loop, each influencing the other, each keeping the balance alive. Even chaos, even entropy, plays a part in this great machinery. What we call disorder is not a failure of the clock, but its fuel. The spreading of energy ensures that time can move forward, that the cosmic pendulum never stops swinging. Our greatest scientists, Einstein, Hawking, Wheeler, all tried to listen to this clock, to translate its ticking into equations that describe reality. And yet, no formula can quite capture its poetry. Time at its core is not mechanical, but creative. It doesn't merely record what happens, it enables it. The clock beneath creation is not built to measure, it is built to become. Think of a particle appearing in a quantum field, a brief shimmer, a possibility becoming real. It exists for a moment, then fades back into probability. This is not randomness. It is rhythm, the pulse of existence. Every time a particle appears, the clock advances by one invisible beat. In those tiny beats, all matter dances, even the stars, which seem eternal, are simply vast accumulations of these moments. Each atom fusing in their hearts is keeping time, releasing light in precise intervals, marking the seconds of their long, luminous lives. If you could translate that fusion into music, it would sound like a deep, unending hum, the sound of creation counting itself. And yet, for all its vastness, this cosmic rhythm touches us too. Every breath we take, every neuron that fires, follows it. We do not live alongside time, we live inside it. The beating of our hearts, the pace of our thoughts, the slow decay of our cells, all echo that same fundamental rhythm. The universe does not tick outside of us, it ticks through us. The astonishing truth is that time itself might not be continuous. Some physicists believe that it is quantized, made up of indivisible moments that cannot be subdivided further. If that is true, then time is not a stream but a staircase made of invisible steps so small we cannot feel them. And yet, we move across them, one heartbeat, one thought, one breath at a time. In this view, the clock beneath creation is not a tool. It is the universe's heartbeat. It marks no beginning and no end. It simply sustains. It gives existence the illusion of movement, even though at the deepest level, everything may already be still. If you imagine the universe as a vast tapestry, then time is the loom. It does not care what pattern it weaves. It simply moves, pulling the threads of reality into form. Space stretches and curves, particles meet and part, Galaxies drift apart like slow-moving clouds. Yet beneath it all, the loom continues, unseen but relentless. And perhaps the most haunting part of this rhythm is that it cannot be turned off. Even in the silence between stars, even in the depths of a black hole where physics bends and cracks, the ticking persists, not as sound or motion, but as the fundamental principle that existence is. When we speak of eternity, we often imagine endless duration. But eternity is not length, it is constancy. The clock beneath creation does not race toward an ending. It simply remains. It holds the cosmos together through its unbroken continuity. Everything else, light, matter, life, are ripples upon that unshakable foundation. One day, far beyond our imagination, when the stars have burned out and the galaxies have dissolved into quiet darkness, this clock will still be there. It may slow, it may dim, but it will not stop. Because time is not something that needs energy to exist. It is energy, rearranged into rhythm. So when you look into the night sky and see nothing but stillness, know this: the universe is not silent. Beneath that stillness it hums. Beneath the darkness it beats. The clock beneath creation continues its endless song, a pulse older than the stars, and younger than the moment you are living now. And in that gentle ticking, in that invisible rhythm beneath everything, the universe counts itself once more. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, invisible river, one that has no banks, no sound, and no beginning or end. It flows not with water, but with existence itself. You cannot see it, yet it carries you, your atoms, your thoughts, and every moment you will ever live. This is time. Not the ticking of a clock or the turning of a planet, but a river that flows through everything, binding every star and soul to the same current. We drift in this river without knowing. Each moment we experience is a droplet on its surface, glistening for an instant before merging back into the flow. You can't step outside it and you can't swim against it. Time carries us all effortlessly, silently. It doesn't ask for permission or for escape. It is the great carrier, the unseen force that pulls galaxies apart, grows forests and erases mountains, all with the same quiet patience. Scientists once believed that time was absolute, a universal metronome ticking evenly everywhere. But the universe doesn't move to such certainty. Einstein changed everything when he showed that time is not fixed. It bends, stretches, and slows depending on where you stand in the cosmos. The faster you move, the slower time becomes for you. The stronger the gravity, the thicker time's current grows, as if you were sinking into its depths. Imagine that, time flowing faster in the open void, slower near the pull of a planet or star. You are not living in a single shared river, but in countless streams intertwining, each flowing at its own pace. The universe is not a clock. It is a delta of endless currents swirling through the fabric of space. In this way, everything moves differently, yet everything remains connected. The river of time has no preferred direction, and yet it always flows forward. This forward motion, this unyielding sense of before and after, is one of the deepest mysteries in all of physics. Why does time move one way when the laws of nature themselves are reversible? Why can a particle's motion be played backward in theory, but our lives cannot? The answer hides in entropy, the slow unraveling of order. Entropy gives time its direction, like gravity gives rivers their flow. When a cup shatters, its fragments scatter into disorder, but they never leap back into place. Entropy ensures that the universe's energy spreads wider, that structure decays, that warmth cools. It is this steady drift from order to chaos that we experience as time's arrow. Yet there is beauty in that decay. It is not destruction but transformation. Entropy is what allows stars to burn and galaxies to evolve. It is the quiet engine of becoming. The river flows not toward emptiness but toward change. And in its current, every beginning becomes an ending, and every ending becomes a beginning in disguise. Even now this river flows through you. Every cell in your body carries the memory of change, the slow current of molecules rearranging themselves in unending chemical conversations. You are not separate from time. You are built from its movement. The breath you just took was written in a chain of moments that began with the birth of the first stars. The oxygen in your lungs was forged billions of years ago in furnaces of light. You are part of the same current that carries galaxies. But time is not just physics. It is perception. Our minds turn this cosmic flow into story. We feel the river as past, present, and future, yet those distinctions may not exist beyond our thoughts. To the universe, all moments may coexist, layered like still frames in a film reel. What we call now could simply be the place where our consciousness drifts through. The reel, one frame illuminated at a time. It's humbling to realize that what feels like motion may only be awareness moving across a vast landscape of events that already exist. The river of time might not be flowing at all. We might be the ones moving through it, carried by memory, perception, and light. To us, this movement feels real because we cannot see the whole. We are droplets inside the current, unable to glimpse the river's full breadth, but still we sense it. In moments of stillness, a breath, a heartbeat, a quiet dawn, we feel the current move beneath our awareness. It's the sensation that something vast and invisible is carrying us forward, gently but irresistibly. When you look at an old photograph or listen to a fading song, you can almost feel the water rushing, not past you, but through you. The sound of nostalgia is the whisper of that river remembering itself. Even light, the fastest traveler in the universe, is bound by time's current. It moves through space like ripples on a pond, and yet, from light's own perspective, time does not flow at all. A photon is born and reaches its destination in the same instant. For it, there is no before or after. Light exists outside of time's current, gliding on its surface without being carried away. And still, it helps define time for everything else. It reveals distance, movement, change, the signs that time has passed. Light, in this sense, is time made visible. For us, though, there is no escape. Every heartbeat pushes us deeper downstream. We build calendars, we invent hours, but these are just buoys on the surface. Human attempts to name something that has no true edge. The river flows regardless of what we call it. It doesn't move for us. It moves through us, and yet that movement gives meaning. Without time, there would be no story, no cause, no memory. Life is not just lived in time, it is made of time. Every joy, every sorrow, every decision is a wave that rises and falls in the current. To live is to move, and to move is to be shaped by the river. The most mysterious part, perhaps, is that this river is self-sustaining. Time flows because events happen, and events happen because time flows. It is an endless loop, a self-writing poem that needs no author. The universe is both the water and the motion. It does not need to know where it's going. It simply goes, and when you pause, nay, when the noise of thought softens and you simply exist, you might feel that same stillness beneath the flow. You might realize that you have never been separate from the river, that you have always been one of its ripples shining briefly in the current of eternity. Time is not a cage, but a current. It does not trap you, it carries you. And one day, when all that you are dissolves back into starlight, the river will still flow, quietly, patiently, carrying everything that ever was and everything that will be, in one eternal motion. There are moments, fleeting and fragile, when the world feels as if it already knows what is about to happen. When a song plays before you think to hum it. When a place feels familiar, though you've never been there. When a shadow seems to fall before its source appears. These are the whispers of time's deeper mystery. The idea that the future, like a reflection on dark water, already exists, waiting only for light to reveal it. Time, as we experience it, moves forward like a one-way arrow. Yet physics has long teased us with the notion that this arrow may not be as rigid as we believe. The laws of nature, from the dance of particles to the pull of gravity, do not prefer a direction. In the equations, time can run forward or backward without breaking the rules. The only thing that gives us the illusion of flow, of past turning into future, is entropy, the cosmic spreading of energy, the great uncoiling of order into chaos. But what if the universe doesn't just remember what was? What if it also holds traces of what will be? After all, every shadow is born not just from the light behind it, but from the space waiting to receive it. The present might not be a thin edge between two voids. It might be a trembling membrane where yesterday and tomorrow both press inward, shaping the moment like invisible hands molding clay. Quantum physics has shown us glimpses of this paradox. In experiments, particles have behaved in ways that seem to suggest they can be influenced by events that have not yet occurred, as though they sense what's coming. Photons, the tiny messengers of light, sometimes make choices that appear to depend on measurements taken in the future. It's as if, in their world, cause and effect trade places like dancers, switching partners mid-step. This is not to say the future controls the past, but rather that the two may be woven together more intimately than we can imagine. Our perception of time's sequence might be an artifact of consciousness, a way our brains organize a timeless reality into something we can survive within. Like shadows cast by unseen trees, our thoughts, choices, and memories might all exist at once, projected onto the moving screen of now. Think of a film reel. Every frame is already there, each moment carved into celluloid. The story only unfolds when the light of the projector moves across it, revealing one frame after another. We live in that beam of light, the present, convinced that the film is being written as we watch it. But perhaps it has already been written. Perhaps we are simply experiencing the unveiling of what has always been. This is the strange poetry of time, that we are both authors and readers of our own story, both creators and creations of the future we are moving toward. When you decide, when you imagine, when you dream, perhaps you are not inventing something new, but listening to a whisper from what already exists ahead of you. The future may not be built from nothing. It may simply be waiting for us to arrive. Some physicists describe the universe as a block of space-time where all moments coexist. In this view, every heartbeat you've ever felt and every one you ever will already occupy their place in the grand structure, the way peaks and valleys already exist on a mountain range, even if you have yet to climb them. We travel through this block one slice at a time, calling it now. To the cosmos, however, all nows exist together, silent and complete. It's a haunting idea that the shadow of your future self might already exist, cast backward across your path. You cannot see it because you are standing inside it. Every decision you make is a flicker of that shadow, aligning you with one of countless possible futures that already shimmer within the universe's structure. The paths not taken still exist, like light that never reached your eyes. Not gone, just unseen. If you could step outside of time, you might see all of it at once. Your birth, your laughter, your final breath, all glowing simultaneously, suspended in the same eternal moment. You would see your own shadow stretching across the ages, a silhouette of what you were and what you will be. To you it would look like destiny. To the universe it would simply be geometry, but inside time we cannot see the map. We can only feel its shape. The intuition that something is meant to happen, the déjà vu that stops your breath for a second, these might be echoes of that greater structure, the faint awareness that time is not linear but woven. We catch glimpses of the weave only in dreams, déjà vu, or the uncanny rhythm of coincidence. dreams especially, seem to borrow threads from every direction of time. In them, we walk through futures that have not yet arrived, and remember moments that never happened. Perhaps the dreaming mind drifts more freely through the tapestry, unbound by the narrow corridor of waking time. The same could be true for inspiration. Those sudden moments when a solution, an idea, a melody seems to appear from nowhere. Maybe they come from the part of us that listens beyond the present, where the future already hums. This idea is both terrifying and comforting. If all of time already exists, then we are not lost in chaos. We are following a path already drawn through the infinite. Every sorrow, every joy, every loss, all have their place in the structure. Even what we fear to come has already been absorbed into the universe's calm geometry. There are no surprises for the cosmos, only unfolding for us. Yet the mystery deepens when we ask why we experience time at all. If everything already exists, why do we move through it? Perhaps time is the universe learning to know itself. Consciousness acting as the mirror in which eternity sees its own reflection. Each of us as we live carry a fragment of that awareness. We are the shadows cast by a timeless truth trying to understand its own shape. And when we remember, when a scent, a song or a whisper pulls us back into something we once lived, perhaps we are feeling that same eternal feedback. Memory and prediction, past and future, may not be opposites at all. They may be the same current flowing both ways, touching across the bridge of now. The shadows that remember the future are not ghosts or omens. They are glimpses of a greater order that our minds can barely comprehend. To see them is to feel the edges of time, to sense the symmetry behind all motion. And though we may never fully grasp it, the feeling is enough. That quiet awe, that trembling wonder that the universe in all its immensity is not done speaking, because perhaps the future has already whispered your name, and time, ever patient, is simply waiting for you to catch up. Close your eyes for a moment and listen, not to the world around you, but to the quiet pulse beneath everything. Beneath the ticking of clocks, beneath the hum of thought, there is a silence so complete that it almost hums. Inside that silence lives a second, fragile, fleeting, but infinite in depth. A second may seem small, but within it, universes are born and vanish, atoms tremble, stars flicker, and your heart, in its steady rhythm, keeps time with the cosmos itself. We measure life in seconds, yet we rarely feel them. They pass like invisible footsteps behind us, constant and unacknowledged. But a second is not empty. It is the smallest vessel of time we can hold, the heartbeat of reality itself. Within 1 second, light travels almost 300,000 kilometers, enough to circle the Earth 7 times. In that same blink, your neurons fire thousands of times, your body translates chemical whispers into awareness, and the sun sheds billions of photons that will journey for centuries before reaching another star. A second is a miracle hidden in plain sight. We often think of time as continuous, a smooth line without interruption. But when you look closely, deeply enough, even time begins to stutter. At the quantum level, it may not be a flowing stream at all, but a rhythm, tiny, discrete pulses of existence, one after another, like frames in a cosmic film. Between each pulse lies the smallest imaginable pause, the Planck time, a fraction so small that it defies the human mind. If 1 second were stretched across the width of the universe, the Planck moment would be smaller than a grain of sand. In those infinitesimal pauses, the universe breathes. Reality blinks, resets, continues. It is there, in that silence, that the laws of nature decide what happens next. And though we will never experience it directly, that stillness is where possibility becomes existence. It is where time chooses its next step, where reality takes its next breath. If you could slow the universe enough to peer inside a single second, what would you see? You might witness particles flickering in and out of being, fields rippling through emptiness, virtual energies borrowing existence for the briefest of instants before dissolving back into the void. You would see chaos, but beneath it, an order too vast and subtle to comprehend. The rhythm of creation, pulsing in silence. This silence is not absence, it is potential. Just as music is shaped by the spaces between notes, time is shaped by the spaces between moments. Without pause, without stillness, there would be no rhythm, no distinction between then and now. The silence inside a second is what allows time to move. A breath between beats, the soft inhale before the next exhale of existence. And in that silence, everything is connected. Every pause between seconds touches every other pause across galaxies, across ages. It is as though the universe itself holds its breath together, a shared stillness spanning the infinite. The same silence that hangs between your heartbeats echoes between stars. When we look up at the night sky, we see the past. Light from distant stars, traveling millions of years to reach our eyes. But what we never see is the silence between those photons, the intervals where nothing arrives, where space itself waits. Those gaps are part of the music too, the pauses that make the cosmic song legible. Time does not rush, it rests. It holds its own quiet moments, invisible but essential. There is something profoundly human about silence. We seek it in moments of peace, in meditation, in the deep breath before speaking truth. When silence stretches too long, it unnerves us. When it's too brief, we long for it again. Perhaps that's because silence is not a void, but a mirror, a reflection of the deeper quiet from which everything arises. The silence inside a second is the same silence that lives within us. In moments of stillness, when you stop chasing the next task, the next thought, you can feel it. The air around you becomes denser somehow. You begin to sense the weight of the moment, as though the universe has turned its gaze inward. You realize that time is not rushing past you. You are simply moving through its layers, moment by moment, like walking through a forest where every tree is a possibility. Science tells us that the human brain cannot perceive anything shorter than a few hundred milliseconds. Everything beneath that threshold merges into continuity. But perhaps what we call continuity is only our mind's inability to perceive the gaps, the silences. We fill them with our own narrative, smoothing over the pauses so we can make sense of life's flow. Yet those pauses may be where the truth of existence hides, in the spaces we cannot see. When we meditate, when we breathe deeply and let the noise of thought fade, we begin to approach that hidden rhythm. We feel a slowing, not of the world, but of our perception. In that slowness, seconds expand. The silence inside them becomes audible, almost tangible. It feels like standing at the edge of a great ocean and realizing that each ripple, each breath of wind is part of one vast pulse, the heartbeat of the universe itself. Time, then, is not a constant race forward, but a series of quiet renewals. Each second dies so the next can be born. The silence between them is the space where the universe resets its balance, where past becomes memory and future becomes potential. You could call it nothingness, but it is a fertile nothing, one that holds everything that ever was and will be. If time were a song, then silence would be its most powerful note. Without it, melody becomes noise. Without pause, existence loses meaning. The silence inside a second is where the universe listens to itself, where energy and matter, space and thought rest between their infinite dance, and perhaps when our lives feel too fast, too loud, too full, what we truly long for is not more time, but more silence within it. To find that stillness is to rediscover the essence of being. It is to stand at the edge of a moment and realize that eternity hides in the smallest of pauses. Because inside every second, beneath the ticking, beneath the thought, beneath the motion, there is a silence so vast it holds the entire cosmos in its breath. And in that silence, if you listen closely enough, you can almost hear the universe remembering its own name. Look up on a clear night, and you are not merely seeing stars, you are seeing the clocks of the cosmos. Each one burns, pulses, and fades according to its own rhythm, marking the passage of time on scales far beyond human imagination. To us, stars seem eternal, steady lights scattered through darkness. But to the universe, they are ticking hearts, each measuring out the life of galaxies in slow, radiant beats. Every flicker of starlight you see tonight began its journey long before you were born. Some of it left its source before humanity even existed, crossing thousands, millions, even billions of years to reach your eyes. In that light, the stars are telling you how they used to be, not how they are now. The night sky is not a picture of the present, but a living archive of the past. When you gaze upward, you are literally looking back in time, and yet in their distance, stars reveal how time moves for them differently than it does for us. A star's life is a chronicle written in light. Its color, its pulse, its very heat reveal how fast or slow its internal clock is ticking. Blue stars, enormous and furious, burn through their lives in a few million years. Brief but blinding. Red dwarfs, small and quiet, can outlast the universe itself, glowing softly for trillions of years. The cosmos keeps its time not in seconds but in epochs. Every star measures time through fusion, the delicate alchemy that turns hydrogen into helium, light into memory. Deep in its core, pressure and gravity struggle for balance. That balance becomes rhythm. The outward push of radiation, the inward pull of gravity, two forces in eternal opposition, create the steady pulse of existence. If gravity is the universe's heartbeat, then fusion is its breath. Together they mark the rhythm by which all stars live and die. Even death has its own clock. Some stars, when their fuel is gone, fade quietly into darkness, their clocks slowing until they stop. Others go out in a violent rush, a supernova, the clock exploding, scattering its pieces across space. Those remnants become the seeds of future stars, future worlds, even future beings. The universe recycles its own timepieces. Every atom in your body was once part of a star's ticking core. You are, in a very real sense, the residue of cosmic timekeeping. Pulsars, those strange, spinning remnants of collapsed stars, keep the most precise time of all. When a massive star dies, its core collapses into an object so dense that a single teaspoon of it would weigh billions of tons. As it spins, it sends out beams of radiation that sweep across space with incredible precision, like cosmic lighthouses. Some pulsars spin hundreds of times per second, so regular that no human-made clock can match them. Astronomers use them to measure time itself, to detect ripples in spacetime, to map the rhythm of the galaxy. Imagine that, long after a star's visible light has died, its heart still beats, silently, steadily, marking seconds across eternity. If you could listen closely enough, the universe itself would sound like an orchestra of pulsars, each playing its rhythm in perfect cosmic harmony. But even the ordinary stars, the ones that shimmer gently rather than pulse, are timekeepers of their own kind. Their lifetimes define the ages of galaxies. When you look at a young blue galaxy, you are seeing a place where time moves quickly, where everything burns fast and bright. An old red galaxy, by contrast, glows with slow, ancient light. Time stretched thin, as if the very fabric of existence were tired from its own persistence. Gravity, too, shapes how stars keep time. Near the crushing pull of a massive star, time slows down. If you were to orbit close to a neutron star or a black hole, seconds for you would pass differently than for someone far away. The deeper you fall into gravity's well, the slower time moves. To the star, to the light within it, time bends. The cosmos does not share one rhythm. It is a vast symphony of different tempos, each shaped by mass, motion, and distance. Light itself reveals this tempo. As a star burns, it sends its story across space. Its color changes with its age, from blue-white youth to golden maturity to red and fading old age. When astronomers look at the color of a star's light, they are reading its clock. The hue tells them how long the star has lived, how fast it burns, and how soon it will die. Time leaves fingerprints in starlight. There's something haunting about knowing that. The light from the stars above you tonight may already belong to ghosts. Some of those suns might have died millions of years ago, their light only now finishing its long journey to reach you. When you look at them, you're seeing the past preserved, the last heartbeat of something that no longer exists. It's as if time itself refuses to let go, insisting that what once was still deserves to be seen. Yet in another way, stars never truly die. When a star explodes, its elements scatter. Carbon, iron, oxygen, gold, drifting through the void until gravity gathers them again. Those fragments form new stars, new planets, new lives. In this endless cycle, time folds back on itself. The death of one star marks the beginning of another. The clocks reset, and the universe begins again. Our own sun is one such clock. It burns calmly, rhythmically, sustaining life through its steady output. Each heartbeat of fusion at its core sends warmth that will take 8 minutes to reach Earth. Light born from reactions that began before any human had a name for the sky. Someday, 5 billion years from now, that rhythm will falter. The sun will expand, swallow the inner planets, and end its timekeeping in a grand, red sigh. Even then, its atoms will wander, carrying the memory of our era into new cosmic forms. To live beneath these stars is to exist inside their rhythm. Our calendars, our sense of seasons, our understanding of years, all of it originates from their movement. The Earth spins, the moon orbits, the sun rises and sets, all in harmony with the stars' slow dance. Every human heartbeat, every breath you take is a small echo of that same pulse. Sometimes, late at night, if you let your mind quiet and gaze upward long enough, you can feel that rhythm. The flickering of distant suns seems almost like breathing. The universe inhales and exhales in light, each shimmer a note in a song that began before time had a name. And in that moment you realize that you too are part of this vast symphony, a single measure in an endless melody of light and silence. Stars keep time not only for the universe, but for us. Their light defines our memories, their rhythm shapes our existence. We measure our lives against their glow, and though we fade quickly by comparison, our awareness makes the time we have infinite. We are the only part of the cosmos that knows it is counting. So when you look up tonight, remember, those lights are not distant fires, but the universe's oldest clocks still ticking, still shining, still keeping time long after we are gone. They are the keepers of eternity, and we, for a moment, are lucky enough to listen. If time has a heartbeat, then gravity is the rhythm that keeps it steady. It is the unseen metronome of the cosmos. Not loud, not visible, but ever present, dictating how every second unfolds. From the gentle fall of a leaf to the swirling of entire galaxies, gravity shapes the tempo of existence. It does not sing, it does not rush. It simply pulls softly and endlessly. And in that pull, time learns how to move. Imagine, for a moment, that you could see gravity. You would not see strings or waves or fields. You would see the fabric of reality itself, bending, curving, breathing. Every planet, every star, every speck of dust presses into that invisible fabric, distorting it ever so slightly. Where the curve is deep, time itself slows. Where the curve is gentle, time drifts more freely. The universe is not built on straight lines, but on a soft, cosmic ripple, an ocean in which time and space are one and the same. This idea that gravity can shape time is one of Einstein's most beautiful revelations. Before him, time was thought to tick the same everywhere, constant and impartial. But Einstein showed us that time is elastic. It stretches near heavy objects, it races away in the emptiness of space. On the surface of Earth, time moves just a little slower than it does in the cold vacuum above. It's imperceptible to us, but measurable with atomic precision. That difference is why satellites must account for relativistic effects, because their clocks, orbiting above the planet's gravity, run faster than those on the ground. Without correcting for this, GPS systems would lose accuracy by kilometers each day. Gravity doesn't just bend space, it bends the very pace of reality. Picture a massive star collapsing into a black hole. At its surface, the pull of gravity becomes so strong that time itself begins to slow to a crawl. To a distant observer, the star's fall into the black hole appears to freeze in place, locked at the edge of eternity. From the star's own perspective, however, it continues inward freely, vanishing beyond the veil of space and time. Two perspectives, two rhythms, and both true, both dictated by gravity's silent metronome. The closer you come to something massive, the slower your seconds pass. To you it feels the same, a steady heartbeat, a normal breath. But to the universe beyond, your time drips like honey instead of flowing like water. If you stood near the event horizon of a black hole, an hour for you could mean centuries outside. You would become a living time capsule, your existence stretched across the ages by gravity's pull. In that sense, black holes are not just cosmic graves. They are clocks running in slow motion, counting the universe's longest seconds. Even here, on Earth, gravity shapes your experience of time in subtle ways. Your feet are closer to the planet's center of mass than your head, which means they experience slightly more gravity. That means, technically, time passes slower for your feet than your head. It's an absurdly tiny difference, but it's there. You are in every moment stretched between two tempos, your body, your thoughts, your memories, all happening inside gravity's quiet rhythm. It's a strange thing to realize. The flow of time depends on where you stand, how fast you move, and how much gravity touches you. There is no universal clock, only local ones, each ticking at its own rate. The cosmos is an orchestra, not a machine. Every galaxy, every planet, every atom plays its own tempo, and together they form the grand symphony of time. Gravity is the conductor, invisible but essential, keeping the music from falling into chaos. Somewhere deep in the Milky Way, two neutron stars orbit each other at incredible speed, their combined gravity warping space around them. Each time they pass, they send out ripples, gravitational waves, that stretch and squeeze space-time itself. Those ripples travel across the cosmos, faint but measurable, like the vibration of a drum struck in eternity. When scientists on Earth detect those waves, they are listening to the heartbeat of gravity, to the rhythm of the universe keeping time. These waves tell a story older than light. Light can be blocked, absorbed, or slowed, but gravity's rhythm passes through everything, even through us. It carries information from the beginning of time, from the collisions of black holes and the birth of galaxies. It is the universe remembering itself in motion. And yet, for all its power, gravity is the weakest of the four fundamental forces. You can lift your hand against the pull of an entire planet. But its weakness is what makes it so enduring. It stretches across cosmic distances, shaping everything not through violence but through patience. Gravity teaches time to be patient too. Nothing it touches can rush. Everything must move according to its slow, inevitable beat. If you could stand far from all mass, beyond galaxies and clusters, beyond any gravitational field, time would move differently. You would feel the purest form of duration, unbent, unhurried. But such a place may not truly exist. Gravity's reach is infinite, its touch subtle but universal. Every particle, every flicker of light carries some trace of that metronome's influence. Even photons, massless as they are guided by gravity's curved pathways, their motion dictated by the shape of spacetime. So what then is gravity? A force, a curvature, or perhaps something deeper? A conversation between matter and time itself. Matter tells spacetime how to curve. Spacetime tells matter how to move. This dialogue never ends. It is the music of existence, the reason why planets orbit, why galaxies spin, why time has texture. Gravity doesn't simply pull, it organizes the flow of everything that is. And when we look at the night sky, that order reveals itself in quiet elegance. Galaxies swirl in spirals, stars form in rhythmic cycles, and clusters drift through space like slow-moving constellations of thought. Gravity is there, setting the tempo, ensuring that chaos has form and that motion has memory. You, too, are part of that rhythm. Every atom in your body feels the Earth's pull. Each moment of your life, each heartbeat, each breath happens in sync with gravity's invisible song. You do not just live on the Earth. You live within its gravitational rhythm. And when you die, your atoms will fall back into that same music, returning their weight to the planet, their energy to the stars. Gravity's metronome does not stop. It is as eternal as time itself. Long after the stars have faded, after light itself has scattered into darkness, gravity will still hum through the cosmos, the faintest vibration, the softest pulse. It will keep time even when there is nothing left to measure it. And if there comes a day when the universe stops expanding, when all matter collapses inward in one final breath, it will be gravity that calls the rhythm of that ending. The last echo of the cosmos will not be light, nor sound, but the slow, perfect beat of gravity, marking the final second of eternity. There is a quiet kind of sleep woven into the universe, a drift that touches every atom, every star, every thought. It is not death, but something gentler, slower, the soft exhale of existence itself. This is entropy, the universe's dream of stillness. It is the reason that order becomes chaos, that stars burn out, that memories fade. Yet in that fading lies a kind of beauty, a promise that everything, no matter how bright or brief, finds rest. Imagine the early universe. Young, seething, wild with energy. Particles collided like raindrops in a storm of creation. Everything was hot and close and full of potential. There was almost no difference between one place and another. Everything was chaos made of perfection. But then, as the universe expanded, patterns began to appear. Stars ignited, galaxies swirled, planets cooled. Order rose from the noise, and for a moment it seemed eternal. But entropy was already awake, whispering that all structure is only borrowed from time. Entropy is not destruction, it is balance. It is the measure of how energy spreads, how systems move from order to disorder, from heat to cold, from life to rest. It is the universe's memory of change. When you drop ink into water and watch it swirl until it becomes uniform, you are watching entropy. When your coffee cools, when the stars lose their fire. When your body ages, entropy is there, quietly doing what it was always meant to do, teaching the cosmos how to fade gracefully. For most of human history, people thought time simply moved forward. But physics revealed something deeper. Time moves forward because entropy increases. The arrow of time, that invisible direction that separates past from future, is born from disorder. The reason we remember yesterday but not tomorrow is that yesterday was more ordered, and tomorrow will be less. Entropy gives time its purpose. Without it, everything could reverse, rewind, or stand still. The ticking of every clock, the heartbeat of every creature, the decay of every atom, all of it follows entropy's dream. It's strange to think that every act of creation is also an act of decay. A star is born from collapsing dust, burns with brilliance, then returns its elements to space. A thought forms in the mind, flickers with clarity, then dissolves into memory. Even galaxies, magnificent whirlpools of light, will one day drift apart as entropy pulls their structure into silence. The universe is not dying quickly. It is relaxing, like a great being settling into cosmic sleep. Entropy is often called the enemy of life, but perhaps that's too harsh. Life itself is a rebellion against entropy, a brief surge of order in a sea of chaos. Every heartbeat is defiance. Every cell that repairs itself, every mind that dreams, every civilization that builds, all are small victories against the universal tide. But these victories are not meant to last forever. Even rebellion must rest. Life is entropy's companion, not its rival. One creates patterns, the other returns them to stillness. Together they keep the rhythm of existence. When we look at the night sky, we see the balance between creation and decay. Supernovae burst open, scattering heavy elements into the void, the ashes from which new stars are born. Nebulae glow in soft colors, clouds of dust slowly condensing under gravity's patience. Every explosion seeds the next beginning. Entropy ensures that no energy stays locked forever. It recycles everything. Even the death of stars is part of the universe's way of breathing. In the far future, though, entropy will win its quiet victory. Stars will fade, galaxies will dim, and black holes will evaporate into nothingness. This is what scientists call heat death, a state where all energy is evenly distributed, where no work can be done, where time itself loses meaning. The cosmos will not end in fire, but in cold. It will not scream but sigh. Yet that silence will not be empty. It will be the fulfillment of entropy's dream. Perfect balance, perfect stillness. You might think of this end as tragic, but perhaps it is peaceful. The universe, after all, has been awake for over 13 billion years. Every photon, every atom, every mind has danced its part in the great unfolding. When it finally comes to rest, it will not be defeat. It will be serenity. It's the completion of a long, beautiful story. The dream of entropy is not destruction, but rest after creation. If you were to watch this future unfold, you would see time itself stretch thin. As entropy rises, motion slows. The last stars burn dimly, their light traveling through a space so vast that it rarely finds a destination. Planets freeze, black holes shrink, radiating faint whispers of energy until they vanish. Eventually, even atoms may dissolve. There will be no temperature, no distinction between light and dark, just a uniform sea of quiet energy. But even then, the memory of everything that once existed will remain woven into the faint quantum fabric of reality. The universe will remember, even if no one is left to recall it. Entropy's influence is not limited to stars or space. It lives inside us, too. The human brain runs on ordered patterns, chemical rhythms that slowly degrade. Memories fade not because we forget, but because entropy gently rearranges them. It is the same force that melts glaciers and cools stars, acting now on the warmth of your thoughts. But in that decay is beauty. The way old memories soften into emotions, the way the sharpness of pain turns into quiet understanding. Entropy makes room for meaning, for change, for peace. We often think of dreams as escapes from time, but perhaps entropy itself is dreaming of equilibrium, of an end to motion, of cosmic sleep. It dreams through us, through stars, through galaxies, through every spark that rises and fades. In that sense, we are all fragments of its imagination, moments of order within a larger dream of balance. The universe is not racing toward oblivion. It is slowly closing its eyes. And when the final particle settles, when the last photon stretches to infinity, the dream will be complete. There will be no more heat, no more light, no more time, only stillness. Yet from that stillness, perhaps something new might emerge. The universe may exhale and another may inhale, a new beginning rising from perfect rest. Entropy, in the end, may not be a wall but a door. Until then, we live inside the dream, burning, moving, changing. Every moment you exist, every breath you take is a ripple against entropy's tide. You are the universe's way of remembering itself before it sleeps again. And so, as the stars above you shimmer with the light of ancient entropy, as your own heartbeat keeps rhythm with the slow cooling of the cosmos, remember this: everything fades, not to be lost, but to become whole. The universe dreams not of ending, but of resting. At the edge of the universe's deepest silence, there is a place where time itself forgets how to move. A place so strange that even light, the swiftest traveler in existence, cannot escape. Here, the seconds do not tick, the stars do not burn, and the laws that govern all of reality twist upon themselves like threads caught in an endless knot. This is the realm of the black hole, where gravity becomes absolute and time falls asleep. From a distance, a black hole is almost invisible. You cannot see it directly, for it allows no light to leave. What you see instead is the ghostly halo around it. The accretion disk, a ring of incandescent matter spiraling inward, glowing fiercely as it nears the point of no return. It is like watching a whirlpool of fire at the center of infinity. Everything that crosses its threshold, stars, dust, light, even time, is swallowed whole, never to emerge again. But the truth of what happens inside is far stranger than disappearance. Einstein's theory of general relativity tells us that mass bends space, and black holes are the ultimate demonstration of that truth. They are regions where space-time curves so deeply that it folds back onto itself. To an observer far away, anything approaching a black hole appears to slow down, frozen at the edge, the event horizon. Time itself stretches, pulled thin by gravity's immense pull. From our perspective, nothing ever truly crosses that line. But from the object's own point of view, the fall continues smoothly inward. In that contradiction lies one of the most haunting truths of the cosmos. Time does not flow the same everywhere. Near a black hole, time becomes elastic, a fragile thread drawn to its breaking point. The closer you move to the event horizon, the slower your seconds become. To someone watching from afar, you would appear to slow, your motion fading like the last note of a song. To you, however, nothing would feel different. You would fall freely, unaware that the universe beyond has sped ahead by centuries, then millennia, then eons. The black hole, in its quiet and absolute gravity, does not destroy you instantly. It simply changes your relationship with time. At the heart of every black hole lies a singularity, a point of infinite density where all known laws of physics collapse. It is not a place in space, but a failure of our understanding. According to our equations, it is where curvature becomes infinite, where space and time lose their meaning. But perhaps the singularity is not a point at all. Perhaps it is a process, an unseen transformation, a place where time has folded so tightly upon itself that it no longer knows which direction to go. Some physicists even believe that inside a black hole, time and space trade roles. What was once forward in time becomes inward in space, leading everything inevitably toward the singularity, not by force but by destiny. It is humbling to realize that black holes are not rare. They exist everywhere. At the center of nearly every galaxy, including our own Milky Way, lies a supermassive black hole, millions of times the mass of the Sun. Around it, stars orbit like fireflies, circling an invisible flame. These gravitational titans shape galaxies, sculpting their form, anchoring their motion. They are both creators and destroyers, keepers of time and silence. Without them, the cosmic web would lose its structure. And yet, for something that devours all it touches, black holes can also shine. The matter swirling toward them heats up to billions of degrees, emitting light that can outshine entire galaxies. Some even release powerful jets of energy that shoot across space, carrying matter faster than any human-made machine could ever dream. In that paradox, light born from darkness, lies the essence of the universe itself. Destruction and creation are not opposites. They are partners in the same dance. To understand how time behaves near a black hole is to understand the fragility of every moment we live. Imagine standing safely far away watching a spaceship approach the event horizon. You see its engines flare, its hull glimmering as it nears the edge. Then it begins to slow, its signals stretching into longer wavelengths, redshifted, fading, until it seems to hover motionless at the border between existence and oblivion. From your perspective, it will remain there forever, frozen in the moment before it falls. But for the traveler aboard that ship, the fall continues unbroken. They cross the horizon in an instant, never aware of their own timelessness. Two realities, both true, divided by gravity's infinite patience. It is here, in this strange contradiction, that we meet one of the universe's greatest mysteries. Does time end inside a black hole, or does it merely change? Some theories suggest that beyond the singularity lies another universe, a new beginning folded within the end. If true, every black hole could be a doorway, a seed of creation waiting in the silence. The Big Bang itself might have been born from such an event, the other side of a cosmic collapse. Perhaps the universe we know is simply one dream in an infinite chain of awakenings. Black holes also teach us about information, the fabric of meaning in the universe. When something falls into a black hole, does its information vanish? Quantum theory says it cannot. Information, like energy, must be conserved. This conflict between quantum mechanics and general relativity, between the small and the vast, is one of the greatest puzzles in modern science. Stephen Hawking proposed that black holes slowly evaporate through radiation, and that perhaps encoded in that radiation is the faint whisper of everything that ever fell inside. If so, then black holes do not erase the past. They simply rewrite it in language we do not yet understand. To fall into a black hole is to enter a realm where every certainty dissolves. Inside, space curves so sharply that all paths lead inward. There is no turning back, no escape, no future, only descent. Yet even in that descent there is something profoundly serene. Time slows, light bends, and motion becomes a kind of stillness. The black hole is not chaos. It is order beyond comprehension. It holds the memory of stars, the rhythm of galaxies, the echo of creation itself. And what of us, small creatures bound to one fragile world, gazing at these titans from afar? We are made of the same matter that once danced around black holes, the same elements forged in dying stars. In a way, black holes are our ancestors. They are the graveyards of the cosmos, but also its wombs. From their ashes come the building blocks of everything we know. We live in a universe that recycles even its own darkness. If you could fall into one, you would not see the end. You would see time stretching, thinning, softening, until every moment became infinite. You would become a part of the black hole's slumber, a flicker within its eternal dream. Perhaps in that silence, you would hear the hum of the universe itself, slow and steady, like a heartbeat beneath infinity. And when time finally closes its eyes inside the black hole, the rest of the cosmos keeps moving, unaware that somewhere deep in the fabric of reality, a single instant has chosen to sleep forever. But the story does not end there, because even in that endless stillness the universe remembers. Black holes may sleep, but their gravity sings, faintly, endlessly, across the stars. Light is the oldest traveler in existence, a messenger from the dawn of time, carrying stories older than stars. Every photon that strikes your eye tonight may have begun its journey billions of years ago, long before Earth even formed. It crossed the cold emptiness of space, weaving through gravity's invisible threads, slipping past worlds and galaxies, just to arrive in this one fleeting instant, to be seen, to be remembered. Light, more than anything, is memory. A record written across the darkness. When you look at the night sky, you are not seeing what is, but what was. Each star is a fragment of history, shining from a different era. Some may already be gone, their fires long extinguished, yet their light still travels, carrying their final moments toward us. The universe has no photographs, only light, endlessly moving, endlessly telling its story. Every beam, every color, every glimmer that touches us is a message from time itself. Light behaves like both wave and particle, an eternal duality that seems to defy logic but perfectly fits the poetry of existence. As a wave, it ripples through the void, rhythm, vibration, energy. As a particle, it is precise and singular, a photon, a point of pure intent. It is both infinite and instant, and through it, the universe keeps its diary. The earliest light we can see, the cosmic microwave background, is the afterglow of creation. It is the whisper left behind from when the universe was only 380,000 years old, when the first atoms formed, and light was finally free to travel. Before that, the cosmos was opaque, filled with dense plasma that trapped radiation. When transparency dawned, light escaped and began its endless journey. That ancient glow still surrounds us, stretched and softened by billions of years of expansion. It is the universe's baby picture, with a soft, golden haze, the memory of its first breath. Every galaxy, every nebula, every star adds new pages to this cosmic memory. When a supernova erupts, its light carries the echo of creation, a brilliant farewell that sows new elements into the void. When a planet reflects the glow of its star, that reflection becomes a signature, a story written across light years. Even here on Earth, the sunlight that warms your skin has already traveled 8 minutes through the void, crossing 93 million miles to reach you. The light that shines on you is ancient by the time it arrives, but light is more than illumination. It is the clockwork of the universe. Its speed, the ultimate cosmic limit, defines the shape of reality. Nothing can outrun it. Time itself bends around its pace. The faster you move through space, the slower your time flows, until at light speed, time stops altogether. A photon does not experience seconds or distance. From its own perspective, it leaves one point and arrives at another in an instant, regardless of the billions of years we measure in between. For light, the entire universe is a single, eternal now. And yet, for all its constancy, light can be bent, stretched, and softened. When it passes near a massive object, a star, a planet, a black hole, gravity curves its path like a lens in the fabric of space. This gravitational lensing allows us to see galaxies hidden behind others, their light magnified and distorted by cosmic curvature. It's as if the universe itself is helping us remember its hidden corners, refracting its own story back into view. Some light, though, never reaches us. It is swallowed by dust, absorbed by matter, or trapped forever behind the event horizons of black holes. But even then it leaves a trace. Around the edges of black holes, light lingers, forming halos called photon spheres, rings of illumination circling the darkness, endlessly trying to escape. That light is the last memory of everything that has fallen in. The lingering echo of the visible world around the invisible one. When you stand beneath the stars, your eyes become instruments of time. You are not looking outward, you are looking backward. The Andromeda Galaxy, visible as a faint blur on a clear night, shows us its face as it was 2.5 million years ago. The light from its oldest stars began its journey before the first human walked the Earth. Even the faint background glow between stars carries the fingerprints of events that happened billions of years before life began. Light is not just sight, it is remembrance, and like all memories, light can fade. As the universe expands, it stretches the wavelengths of traveling photons, a process known as redshift. Over cosmic time, energy drains from light, softening its tone, lengthening its reach. The further it travels, the weaker it becomes. One day, in a far, dim future, the stars will all fade and light will grow rare. Galaxies will drift apart until their light can no longer bridge the distance between them. The universe will fall into darkness, and the last photon will travel alone. Even that too will be memory, the last spark of creation's dream. But for now, the universe still glows. Every sunrise, every starlit night, every reflection on the surface of water is light retelling its endless story. When you light a candle, you join that story. The photons it releases may travel far, scattering into infinity, crossing worlds that will never know your name, but they will carry your moment into eternity. You have added your own note to the song of light. In the human body, light also lives in miniature. The energy from the sun sustains every plant, every breath we take. The photons captured by leaves become sugars, which become life. The light that once touched the sun now burns softly in your heartbeat. You are, quite literally, the continuation of ancient starlight, walking, thinking, remembering. You are light, slowed down and given form. It is strange to think that light, which moves faster than anything else, is also the quietest teacher of patience. It crosses unimaginable distances, knowing it may never be seen. Some of the light leaving your face right now will wander through space for millions of years before touching anything. It may reach a distant world, fall upon the eyes of a being that will never know you existed, and yet, in that instant, you will have been remembered. Perhaps this is the secret of light, not just to illuminate, but to preserve, to make sure that nothing, not even the smallest moment, is truly lost. The universe, through light, records itself, endlessly rewriting its story in waves and particles, in reflections and shadows, and one day, when all stars fade and the cosmos grows cold, maybe light will still linger somewhere, folded into the quantum silence, the final memory of a universe that once burned bright with wonder, a whisper across eternity saying, "I was here, I shone." And as you close your eyes tonight, know that every photon that ever touched you, from the sun, from distant stars, from a candle's flicker, carries a trace of you too. Somewhere far from here, that light continues its journey. And in its quiet brilliance, the universe remembers your existence, not as a fleeting spark, but as part of its eternal memory. There will come a day when the universe exhales for the last time, a day when galaxies will no longer drift apart, when stars will no longer burn, when the pulse that has guided creation since its birth falls into stillness. It will not happen with thunder or flame, but with silence. A long, endless silence, For every breath the cosmos takes in the expansion of space, there will be an opposite breath, a slowing, a cooling, a fading. This is the day when the universe will stop breathing. To understand this fate, one must first listen to the rhythm that has always been. Since the Big Bang, space itself has been expanding, stretching like a living lung, inhaling for billions of years. Galaxies ride on that expansion like leaves on a rising tide, drifting farther apart as the cosmic fabric grows. This motion defines the heartbeat of everything. It is the universe's inhale, its motion away from itself. But no breath lasts forever. Scientists once believed that gravity might someday pull everything back together, that after the long expansion, the cosmos would reverse course in a big crunch, collapsing in on itself like a closing eye. In that version of the story, the universe would breathe out, then in, an eternal cycle of birth and death. Yet the evidence tells a stranger tale. The expansion is not slowing, it is speeding up. An unseen force, dark energy, is pushing galaxies apart faster and faster, driving them toward infinite distance. Instead of collapsing inward, the universe may stretch itself into exhaustion. This acceleration means that in billions of years, galaxies will vanish beyond sight, their light stretched until it fades completely. The night sky will empty. Future observers, if any remain, will look upward and see only the stars of their own galaxy. No clusters, no cosmic neighbors, no hint of the grand web that once bound everything together. The universe will have grown vast beyond imagination, but it will feel small. The cosmos will become an island of darkness scattered across an ocean of emptiness. As the expansion continues, even that island will begin to dim. Stars are not eternal. They are engines that burn through their fuel, and each will eventually die. Massive ones will explode in supernovae, spreading their elements across space, while smaller ones will quietly fade into white dwarfs, glowing embers of what once was. Over trillions of years, those embers will cool, turning into black dwarfs, invisible cinders adrift in darkness. The galaxies will go quiet. No new stars will be born. The nurseries of light will be empty. The universe will have taken its last deep breath of radiance. Entropy, the slow dream of decay, will complete its work. Planets will freeze. Moons will drift from their orbits. Even black holes will not last forever. Stephen Hawking showed that they too radiate energy, slowly evaporating over unimaginable spans of time. One by one, they will shrink, flicker, and disappear, releasing their last whispers of energy into the void. What remains will be a faint mist of low-energy particles, spread thinly across infinite space. The temperature of the cosmos will fall until it hovers just above absolute zero. It will be the coldest, quietest moment in all of history. This is the heat death, not an explosion, not a collapse, but a final exhalation. The universe will stop doing work because there will be no energy differences left to drive motion. No warmth, no gravity strong enough to pull new stars together, no sparks left to ignite creation. It will not be destruction but perfect balance. All forces equal, all motion still. Time, which began with the Big Bang, may lose meaning altogether. Without change, there is no before or after, only an endless now suspended in stillness. Yet even in this imagined end, there is a strange peace. The universe is not vanishing in violence. It is resting. It has built galaxies and worlds, given rise to stars and eyes that could behold them, written poetry in the language of gravity and light. For eons it has created and unmade, expanded and evolved. When it finally stops, it will be as though a great story has reached its final punctuation, not a scream, but a sigh. The cosmos will close its eyes, content in what it has become. Perhaps the word end is too simple for what this is. The universe may not truly end. It may simply change form. Some physicists speculate that beyond heat, death lies rebirth, that quantum fluctuations, tiny tremors in the vacuum, could spark new big bangs, birthing new universes in a vast multiversal sea. If so, our universe might only be one heartbeat in an endless cycle of creation and stillness. Each breath may lead to another, each silence to a new beginning. The universe may stop breathing, but only to teach itself how to begin again. Still, it is humbling to imagine the scale of that final breath. Long after the last human, the last star, the last atom, time will continue its patient descent into stillness. The photons that once painted galaxies in light will stretch beyond recognition, fading into wavelengths too long to measure. The universe will be dark, not because it has died, but because it has exhaled completely. All potential will be spent, all memory dissolved into equilibrium. And yet, even as the final warmth fades, the story of everything that ever existed will remain imprinted in the fabric of reality. The expansion, the collapse of stars, the rise of life, every vibration, every echo, every shimmer of energy will still exist somewhere, encoded in the quiet hum, the void. Nothing is ever truly lost. The universe remembers, even in silence. Maybe that is what it means for the universe to stop breathing. It is not a death, but a return to stillness, to unity, to the state before motion and division began, before galaxies, before light, before time itself took its first step forward. In that timeless calm, perhaps the universe finds what we have always sought: peace. And so when you look up at the stars tonight, remember that you are witnessing the inhale of something vast, a breath that began over 13 billion years ago. Every beam of light, every spinning galaxy, every moment of your life is part of that great cosmic breath. And when the universe finally exhales for the last time, when it releases its final warmth into the void, it will do so having lived more completely than anything we can imagine. For now, the stars still burn. The galaxies still drift. The breath of the cosmos still rises and falls. We are alive in the middle of that inhale, a brief, shining moment in the rhythm of eternity. The day the universe stops breathing will come, yes, but it will come gently, beautifully, like dusk after an endless day. And perhaps, somewhere beyond the silence, the next universe will take its first breath. There will come a moment, quiet, immeasurable, indifferent, when the story of humanity ends. Cities will vanish under the slow erosion of time. Oceans will calm into silence. The stars above will continue to move, but no eyes will watch them. No hearts will name their constellations. Time will go on without us, flowing like a river that forgets the shape of its shores. In that deep, unbroken current, what will become of memory, meaning, or love? Does time still exist when there's no one left to feel its passing? Imagine a future Earth emptied of footsteps. The wind still moves through the bones of fallen towers, carrying the scent of rust and salt. Somewhere beneath the ruins, clocks still tick, perhaps for a few final cycles, before their gears freeze. The sun still rises, though no one calls it morning. The planet's slow rotation continues, a ghostly rhythm kept by inertia alone, and time, that invisible conductor, still measures everything with perfect indifference. It does not need witnesses. It never has. Time has no loyalty to life. It moves through every atom, every decay, every shift in temperature or motion. It guided the birth of galaxies long before any consciousness appeared to wonder about it. To time, humanity is a brief flicker, a pattern of warmth that formed, glowed, and faded. We built calendars and hours and seconds as if to tame it, but time was never ours to control. It is the background hum of reality, the metronome by which all change unfolds. Yet in our absence, something subtle will change. Time will lose one of its mirrors. Consciousness gave time meaning. It turned intervals into memories, causes into stories. Without minds to perceive it, time will remain as structure, but not as experience. It will flow, but there will be no before or after to anyone. The universe will return to its original solitude, pure existence without awareness. For billions of years before us, time was silent. For billions after, it will be silent again. Some philosophers have wondered whether time exists at all without perception. In quantum physics, particles don't settle into definite states until they're observed. Could it be that without eyes to see it, time itself loses definition, or we becoming a frozen possibility rather than a flowing stream? Perhaps when consciousness fades, the universe's clock pauses too, holding its breath in the vacuum of non-observation. Maybe time only moves when someone listens to it. Others imagine the opposite, that time continues precisely because it must, because change is fundamental to the universe. Even if no being remains, stars will still collapse, energy will still diffuse, and space will still stretch. Time, then, is the ultimate survivor. It does not depend on meaning. It simply is. It will persist long after meaning has gone. In that distant future, Earth may no longer resemble the cradle we know. The continents will shift beyond recognition. Mountains will crumble and reform. The moon will drift farther away, and the planet's rotation will slow until a single day lasts longer than an age. The seas will boil when the dying sun expands into a red giant, swallowing Mercury and Venus, leaving Earth scorched and airless. Then even the sun will fade into a white dwarf, a glowing ember cooling through eternity. And still, time will continue to tick its patient rhythm. It will outlive the planets, the stars, the galaxies themselves. For even after the universe grows cold and dim, time remains the invisible skeleton holding it together. We measure it with clocks, but the universe measures it with decay. Radioactive particles splitting, energy dispersing, temperature equalizing. Long after our words are gone, those processes will continue. Every second will still exist, though no one will count them. Yet there is beauty in this vast indifference. The universe's lack of attachment to us is not cruelty. It is freedom. It means that the story never truly ends. Though we vanish, we remain a part of time's tapestry. Every heartbeat, every spark of thought, every whisper of love encoded in the motion of atoms. Our existence left ripples in space-time, waves that will travel forever. Time may move on without us, but it will carry the echoes of our presence like light from a star that has long since died. Think of this. When you look at the night sky, you are seeing into the past. Every photon is a message from what once was. When humanity is gone, those photons will still be racing through space, carrying the story of who we were. Somewhere, countless eons from now, they may brush against another world, another being's perception, and spark curiosity or wonder. In that moment, we will live again, if only as a memory of light. Even the atoms of your body are travelers through time. Forged in the cores of stars, they have existed for billions of years and will exist for billions more. They will drift through the universe, joining new worlds, new suns, perhaps even new forms of life. You will dissolve into the cosmos, and through that dissolution, you will endure. Time will move on without your mind, but not without your matter. In that way, nothing is truly lost, only transformed. One day, time itself may become unmeasurable. As the universe approaches heat death, motion and change will fade. Without contrast, without difference, time will lose direction. It will stretch into an eternal stillness where every second is the same as the last. But even then, the memory of motion and the ghost of what once changed will remain imprinted on the cosmic fabric. Time will still be, but not move. It will rest. Perhaps that is what eternity means. Not endless duration, but the absence of it. A realm where the arrow of time finally lies down, tired after its infinite journey. If so, then time without us is not tragedy, but completion. The story continues until all its pages have been written, and when it ends, the book closes not with despair, but with peace. The thought that time will continue without us is humbling, but it also frees us. It reminds us that our lives are not measured by their permanence, but by their participation in something immeasurably larger. We are not the owners of time. We are its brief companions. To exist for even a moment within it is to share breath with eternity. So, when you next feel the quiet movement of time, in the fading of a sunset, the ticking of a clock, the slowing of a heartbeat, remember that you are part of something ancient and infinite. You are time's witness and time's creation. And though one day it will go on without you, it will carry your rhythm within its silence. For every second you lived, every thought you dreamed became part of its endless song. Time without us is not emptiness. It is the continuation of a symphony that began before memory and will play long after meaning. We may leave the stage, but the music, the slow, invisible hum of existence, will never stop. Reality is a magician, ancient, patient, and subtle. It invites us to look closer, then hides its secrets in plain sight. Everything we see, everything we touch, every heartbeat and memory is woven from invisible rules we barely understand. But what if those rules are not the truth? Only the illusion that keeps truth from breaking apart. What if the universe, in all its solidity and certainty, is nothing more than a magnificent mirage, a dream held together by time, perception, and fragile balance? Imagine standing in a vast field at dawn. The air is still, the light golden, and the world feels stable beneath your feet. Yet beneath the soil, atoms are dancing, vibrating, colliding, exchanging energy in chaotic motion. The ground you stand on is not solid at all. It is 99.999999% empty space, held together by invisible electromagnetic forces. The atoms in your body never truly touch the atoms of the world. They hover, bound by fields that repel one another. The solidity you feel, the very sensation of touch, is an illusion crafted by electrical resistance. You do not press against matter. You press against force. Physics tells us that what we call reality is a system of probabilities. The smallest building blocks of existence, electrons, quarks, photons, do not exist as fixed points, but as waves of potential. They are everywhere and nowhere, all at once until we look. When we observe, they choose a position, a state, a form. But the act of observation itself changes them. The universe, it seems, behaves differently when watched. This is the haunting truth at the heart of quantum mechanics, that reality does not exist independently of observation. It is participatory. The cosmos becomes real through its interaction with awareness. In a sense, we are not just inhabitants of reality, we are its witnesses, its collaborators, its dreamers. Every time you open your eyes, you are collapsing infinite possibilities into one shared existence. But if observation shapes the world, who or what observed the first light of the universe, when there were no eyes to see it? Some physicists propose that reality was always self-aware in a fundamental way, that consciousness is not a byproduct of matter, but a property of it. Others believe the cosmos existed purely as potential until awareness arose, and only then did the illusion of a stable past solidify. It is as if the universe reached backward and painted its own history once we began to look. This illusion is not deception. It is structure. Without it, the universe could not hold itself together. Every law of physics, every constant, from gravity to the speed of light, is balanced within unimaginably narrow margins. A fraction of change in these values and reality would unravel, stars would never form, atoms would never bond, time itself would not flow in an ordered way. The universe balances on a razor's edge of coincidence, as though the illusion was tuned perfectly for awareness to arise within it. And still, that awareness itself is illusion upon illusion. The brain, a small cathedral of electricity and chemistry, takes the raw chaos of light and vibration and translates it into sound, color, texture, and feeling. But the world we perceive is not the world as it is. It is the world as our senses allow us to see it. You do not see atoms or quantum foam or vibrating strings. You see light your eyes can catch, and your brain paints the rest. The reality we live in is a filtered version of something much larger, much stranger, and perhaps much emptier than it appears. Some ancient philosophies knew this intuitively. In Hinduism, Maya is the cosmic illusion, the veil that makes the infinite appear finite, the eternal appear temporary. In Buddhist thought, the self itself is an illusion, a pattern mistaken for permanence. In modern physics, this poetic truth finds scientific echo. Matter is energy, energy is information, and the world is a vast, shimmering network of relationships rather than things. There are no solid walls, any boundaries of perception. To see through the illusion does not make life meaningless. It makes it miraculous. When you realize that everything, from the sound of rain to the pulse in your wrist, is a transient pattern held together by invisible threads, you begin to see existence for what it truly is, a cosmic performance. A play where atoms and energy dance together in fleeting harmony, pretending to be permanence. Every mountain, every heartbeat, every galaxy is a momentary arrangement in an eternal unfolding. Quantum entanglement adds another layer to the illusion's brilliance. Two particles, once linked, remain connected across infinite distance. Change one and the other responds instantly, as if distance itself were a mirage. This phenomenon hints that the fabric of reality is not made of space and time, but of relationships, invisible connections that defy separation. What we perceive as a part may never have been a part at all. The illusion of individuality, of this and that, me and you, dissolves at the quantum scale. We are entangled not metaphorically but physically in the deepest structure of existence. And then there is time, the grandest illusion of all. We feel it flowing forward, yet physics shows that the laws governing the universe do not prefer a direction. Time's arrow exists because of entropy, because order tends toward disorder. But even that tendency may be an illusion born from limited perspective. From a higher dimension, every moment might exist simultaneously, past, present, and future coexisting like pages of a single book. We move through them as readers, believing in sequence, unaware that the story is already complete. If everything we know, be space, matter, time, is an illusion, what lies beneath it? Some suggest that the true foundation of the universe is information, pure code, mathematical logic from which reality emerges like pixels from a screen. Others say it is consciousness itself, that awareness and existence are inseparable, two faces of the same mystery. Perhaps there is no beneath at all. Perhaps the illusion is the truth, a living paradox where existence and perception sustain one another endlessly. And so the universe holds itself together through beauty and deception. It builds a stage, paints it with stars, and invites awareness to wander through its dream. To live is to participate in that dream, to believe, for a time, in separation, solidity, and certainty. Yet beneath it all, everything is one endless motion, one unbroken pattern. The illusion does not hide the truth. It expresses it. If the universe were to lift its veil to show us what lies beneath, perhaps we would find not chaos, but pure harmony, a silence so complete that it contains all possible sounds, a stillness from which every motion arises. Reality may be an illusion, but it is an illusion of exquisite grace, one that allows us to see, to feel, to exist, and to wonder. And maybe that wonder is the very force that holds it all together. Every ticking clock is a whisper from the universe, a translation of eternity into sound. We take it for granted, that soft pulse in the background of life. But beneath its rhythm hides a language more ancient than stars. The clock does not simply measure time, it speaks it. Each tick is a syllable of the cosmos, a heartbeat of reality itself. When you listen closely, you begin to hear that the world is not silent and it hums with timing. Every atom vibrates, every photon oscillates, every planet spins in synchrony. The universe keeps time, and clocks are the instruments through which we hear its song. The story of clocks begins not with gears or pendulums, but with shadows. Long before humans understood the mathematics of motion, we watched the sun trace slow arcs across the sky. The sundial, a silent ancestor of every clock, translated light into duration. Each creeping shadow was a word in the cosmic language of motion. Time revealed itself through change, day becoming night, night returning to day. Yet even then what we were truly measuring was the dance of celestial bodies. Earth spinning beneath the sun's gaze. Our first clocks were carved not from metal, but from the rhythm of the cosmos. As civilization deepened, our hunger for precision grew. We built water clocks that dripped with patient regularity, sand clocks that whispered in grains. Then came pendulums, their motion steady and hypnotic, swinging in perfect arcs that mirrored the planet's gravity. The pendulum was humanity's first conversation with the laws of motion, a collaboration with the Earth itself. Every swing echoed the same truth. That time is not something we invent, but something we align ourselves with. Yet even the most perfect pendulum wavered under the trembling breath of the planet. Mountains shift, temperatures swell, air thickens, metal expands. Clocks, for all their precision, are still mortal. They reflect the imperfection of the world they measure. For centuries, sailors and scientists fought this fragility, striving for instruments that would keep time no matter where they sailed or what storms they faced. When the marine chronometer was born, navigation changed forever. Oceans opened, and the world became measurable. The Earth itself could be mapped through the heartbeat of a clock. But the secret language of clocks runs deeper than human invention. In the heart of an atom, electrons leap between energy states at precise frequencies. This dance, too fast, too small for the eye, became the foundation of the atomic clock. It counts not in seconds or swings, but in vibrations, billions of pulses per moment. The cesium atom, for instance, vibrates 9,92,631,170 times per second, and we call that a single second. The measure of time itself now comes from the quantum world, where the boundaries between motion and stillness blur. Atomic clocks are so precise that they could measure the difference in time between your head and your feet, for gravity bends time slightly at every height. They reveal the truth Einstein whispered to us a century ago, that time is not universal. It bends, stretches, and folds according to motion and mass. The faster you move, the slower your time flows. The closer you stand to gravity's heart, the deeper your seconds become. Each clock in the universe, from your wristwatch to a star's orbit, speaks its own dialect of time. The GPS satellites orbiting above Earth carry this language with astonishing care. Each one carries atomic clocks that tick just a little faster than ours because they live in weaker gravity. If their rhythms weren't corrected, the maps on your phone would drift kilometers off course every day. To navigate the surface of our planet, we must listen to the whispers of relativity, the subtle stretching and contracting of seconds in the fabric of space. Even in our technology, the cosmos corrects our sense of rhythm, But the language of clocks is not only physical, it is emotional. We measure our lives in moments, not vibrations. We feel the rhythm of time as memory, anticipation, loss, and hope. The same second that defines an atom's motion can hold a universe of human feeling. To a clock, a minute is always the same. To a heart, it expands and contracts with emotion, eternity in joy, eternity in fear. The human brain does not perceive time evenly. It bends it inward, slows it in wonder, quickens it in pain. Our inner clocks speak a different tongue, the language of experience. When two people fall in love, time distorts. Hours vanish like seconds. When grief descends, minutes stretch into eternities. This elasticity mirrors the physical one. Just as gravity bends time around mass, emotion bends it around meaning. The weight of feeling pulls at our perception, making time heavier or lighter depending on the soul's gravity. In this way, physics and feeling are reflections of the same truth. Time is not absolute, but relational. It speaks differently to every observer. Even death does not silence this language. In the smallest fragments of us, the atoms that once formed our bodies, vibrations continue. Matter oscillates, energy hums, photons ripple outward. Our personal clocks stop, but the universal clock does not. The rhythm goes on, diffused through stars and space dust, encoded in the quiet pulse of radiation. The cosmos never stops ticking. It merely changes the hands that tell its time, and if we listen beyond the ticking of human clocks, we can hear the greater rhythm, the slow turning of galaxies, the deep heartbeat of pulsars, the expansion of the universe itself. The cosmic background radiation still vibrates with the echo of the Big Bang, a remnant of creation's first second. Those waves, faint and ancient, are the oldest clock of all. They tell us how long the universe has been breathing, 13.8 billion years, and counting. Every clock we build, every second we name, is a translation of that original pulse. From the trembling of quantum fields to the orbits of planets, all of existence moves in rhythm. Even silence is a kind of ticking, the pause between beats. And we who live within that rhythm are both listeners and instruments. Our hearts keep time with the stars. Our lives are the language made flesh. To understand the secret language of clocks is to realize that time itself is not a tyrant but a teacher. It reminds us that everything is motion, that being alive is to move within the rhythm of decay and renewal. The tick of a clock is not the sound of time passing. It is the sound of life continuing. It is the universe affirming over and over again, I am still here. When the last clock stops, when even atoms cease to vibrate, the language will not be lost. It will echo in the memory of everything that ever was, in the quiet hum of existence that never truly ends. For as long as there is change, there is rhythm. And as long as there is rhythm, there is time. So listen carefully, traveler of the stars. The clocks around you are not just instruments. They are translators, interpreters of eternity, speaking softly in a language you already know by heart. There is an image older than time itself, an hourglass suspended in darkness, its sand drifting endlessly between two mirrored worlds. We imagine it turning over and over in the hands of eternity. The upper half is the future, full of unfallen grains. The lower half is the past, heavy with what has already been. Between them lies the slender neck, the present, where all existence must pass, one grain at a time. This is how we have always pictured time, something that flows, something that ends. But what if the hourglass is only a metaphor for something far stranger, a bridge between dimensions, a doorway between what is known and what lies beyond the edge of everything? In the human world, an hourglass measures patience. Its rhythm is comforting, predictable, bound by gravity and inevitability. But the universe's hourglass does not follow such simple laws. Its sands are made of moments, flashes of energy, quanta of existence that fall not through space, but through possibility. At the smallest scales, time is not smooth but granular. It jumps, flickers, pulses like a cosmic heartbeat. Between one grain and the next, reality blinks in and out of being. The flow is an illusion. What we perceive as continuity is a succession of discrete events too fast for awareness to detect. The cosmic hourglass does not pour steadily. It shimmers. Physicists searching for the ultimate theory of everything have long wrestled with this shimmering. Einstein showed us that space and time are not separate threads, but a single fabric, flexible, stretching, curving under the weight of mass and motion. But when we descend into the quantum realm, that fabric begins to fray. Time, which feels infinite and smooth in our experience, becomes uncertain. In equations of quantum gravity, time may not even exist as a fundamental entity. It could be an emergent property, a side effect of relationships between particles, appearing only when the universe looks at itself. If that is true, then the hourglass beyond the edge is not counting down to an end, but marking the illusion of sequence in a timeless reality. Imagine the hourglass not as a tool, but as a portal. In one bulb lies everything that has ever existed. Every star, every life, every thought. In the other, everything that could still be. Between them, the present trembles. The edge of the hourglass, that narrow waste of light, is where existence becomes aware of itself. Perhaps consciousness is nothing more than the sand's passage through that point, the transformation of potential into memory. Each moment, as it falls, ceases to be possibility and becomes history. We are the witnesses to this fall, the observers through whom the sand becomes real. But if the hourglass is indeed cosmic, then what lies beyond it? The edge of the universe, if such a thing exists, may not be a boundary in space, but in time. As the universe expands, the distance we can observe grows smaller relative to what remains unseen. Beyond a certain horizon, light will never reach us. Those regions exist, but forever outside our perception. They are the upper chamber of the hourglass, the unfallen sands of eternity. What happens there may already be influencing us in subtle ways, through quantum entanglement, through invisible threads of causality that stretch beyond space. The hourglass, then, is not a limit. It is a connection, a channel through which information and existence continually exchange places. One day, perhaps far beyond the lifespan of stars, the lower half of the hourglass, i.e. the universe we know, will empty. Entropy will have claimed every spark of order, every particle of usable energy. The last grains of time will fall into stillness. But what if that stillness is not the end, but the turning? The hourglass flips. The future becomes the past, the empty becomes the full. A new universe begins to flow from the ashes of the old. In that reversal lies a symmetry that haunts physics, the idea that the laws of nature run both forward and backward in time. The arrow of time we experience may be local, an artifact of our universe's conditions, not a universal truth. Somewhere, beyond the edge, time could be flowing in the opposite direction. Another cosmos, unwinding even as ours fades. If the hourglass turns endlessly, then the universe is not a straight line but a cycle, an eternal recurrence where existence renews itself through infinite transformation. Every Big Bang might be the exhalation of a previous collapse, every death the seed of another birth. The sands of time do not run out. They are merely redistributed, poured into new shapes. The edge of the hourglass, then, is not an end but a hinge, the pivot between destruction and creation. The philosopher might ask, if the hourglass flips, what happens to memory? Does time's reversal erase its own trace, or does it preserve the echo of all that came before? If the universe restarts, would it repeat itself exactly, grain for grain, or would it improvise as all living things do? The laws of thermodynamics seem to suggest that no configuration can ever return perfectly. Yet quantum mechanics allows information to be preserved, encoded in the very structure of spacetime. Perhaps the new universe would remember us, not as stories or shapes, but as patterns of resonance. Somewhere in its first expansion, the vibrations of our existence might be faintly present, like the ghost of a song played once before. And what of us, the fleeting witnesses within this hourglass? To live is to inhabit the narrowest point, the place where the infinite past collapses into the infinite possible. Each breath, each heartbeat is a grain of sand tumbling from what was into what will be. We cannot climb back up, nor see what lies below. Yet in that helpless flow there is meaning. For we are not outside the hourglass looking in. We are the movement itself. The universe experiences its own passage through us. We are the fall, the shimmer, the sound of eternity shifting its weight. Beyond the edge, beyond the event horizon of our comprehension, there may be no time, no sequence, no before or after. It could be a realm of pure potential where all moments exist simultaneously. There, the sands of the hourglass are frozen in suspension, each grain representing an entire universe, all coexisting in timeless stillness. If that is true, then the beyond is not the end of time, but its totality. We are simply one thin stream within an infinite sculpture of existence. To stand before the cosmic hourglass is to see beauty and terror in equal measure. We are small, yes, brief sparks caught in the narrowest passage. Yet we belong to something vast, something that never stops transforming. The universe may forget our names, but it will not forget the rhythm we contributed. Every life, every dream, every act of love is another grain of light tumbling toward forever. And when at last the final grain falls, when the last star burns out and the cosmos grows cold, there will be no sound, only the turning of the hourglass, unseen, inevitable, and eternal. From its upper chamber, new light will begin to fall, and a new story will begin again. Because beyond the edge, time never ends. It only turns. There comes a silence so deep that even time forgets how to move. In that silence, where stars have long since gone out and galaxies drift as cold shadows, the universe stands still, empty, vast, waiting. This is not death, but the inhale before the next creation. If eternity has a rhythm, this is its pause, the moment between exhalations when the cosmos gathers itself, preparing to breathe again. Where one timeline ends, another begins. Not with fire, but with quiet potential, as if the ashes of everything hum softly. Remembering how to become light once more. When physicists speak of the end of time, they often describe decay. Entropy swallowing every atom, every structure until nothing remains but blackness at absolute zero. Yet in that ultimate stillness, the seeds of rebirth may already exist. In the quantum fields that permeate the void, energy never truly vanishes. Even in emptiness, fluctuations flicker, the faintest ripples of possibility, invisible and persistent. These fluctuations may be small, but in an infinite expanse and infinite time, one ripple can grow. A single quantum tremor could spark a new universe, just as a single note can awaken silence. Eternity, then, is not a line with an end, but a circle whose circumference can never be drawn. Imagine the darkness stretching in every direction, infinite and calm. Within it lies the memory of every world that has ever existed. The atoms of ancient suns still linger, now stretched thin, their energy scattered across unimaginable distances. But energy cannot truly die. It only transforms, and in that transformation, the possibility of renewal remains. When those ghostly energies converge, however briefly, they may ignite again, forming new bubbles of reality, small universes budding off from the remains of the old. The death of one cosmos becomes the birth cry of another. The end is simply where eternity learns to begin again. It is easy to picture the Big Bang as a singular explosion, a sudden burst from nothing. But perhaps it was not an explosion at all. Perhaps it was a pulse, a heartbeat in an endless organism. If the cosmos is a living thing, then every era, every age is part of its circulation. Time moves like blood, surging outward, cooling, and then returning. The universe breathes in cycles of creation and collapse, each expansion feeding the next. From this view, eternity is not infinite duration, but infinite renewal. The endless rhythm of existence rediscovering itself. Even the laws that govern our reality hint at this recurrence. In the mathematics of cosmology, models exist that allow for closed universes, where expansion eventually halts and gravity pulls all things inward again. This final collapse, the Big Crunch, may compress all matter, energy, and even time itself into a single, unimaginable density. But within that point, conditions mirror those that birthed the first universe. In that density, all possibilities exist at once, the memory of everything and the blueprint of what will come next. When the collapse becomes too great, the tension reverses and a new explosion, or rather, a new release begins. The universe exhales once more, scattering creation like sparks into the void. Other theories propose an even subtler dance, one where countless universes exist simultaneously, each with its own birth, life, and death, endlessly branching like reflections in a hall of mirrors. Some universes might be expanding while others are collapsing, each one unaware of the others, yet all part of the same eternal fabric. The edge of one reality might be the seed of another. Where our universe fades into stillness, another awakens into light. And so, eternity does not begin at any single point. It is always beginning, everywhere, all the time. To understand this is to realize that time itself is not the master of creation, but its servant. Time begins when energy begins to move, when difference appears, when something becomes distinct from nothing. Before that, there is no before or after, no sequence, only the quiet potential of being. In this way, eternity is not infinite time, but the absence of it, a realm beyond duration where all things simply are. Our universe may be just one fleeting dream within that timeless ocean, a brief ripple that thinks itself infinite. Yet, when it ends, eternity remains, patient, waiting to dream again. There is something deeply human about this cycle. Our lives too move in circles. We are born, we change, we fade, and in some unseen way the essence of who we were continues, in memories, in atoms, in the gravity we leave behind in other hearts. Perhaps the universe mirrors this pattern because we are made of it. We are the miniature reflection of eternity's design, each heartbeat echoing the rhythm of expansion and collapse. When we sleep, we surrender to a kind of personal heat death. Consciousness dims, the world goes quiet, and yet every morning we awaken. In that simple act, the cosmos rehearses its rebirth. If eternity begins again, then no loss is ever absolute. Every star that dies gives birth to heavier elements, the raw material for future worlds. Every collapse releases the potential for new forms, new patterns, new dreams. The cycle is neither punishment nor mercy, but is balance. The cosmos renews itself not out of necessity, but out of nature. Creation is what it does when left alone in the dark. Even the void, it seems, cannot resist the temptation to exist. Some philosophers have asked whether this eternal return means that every moment will one day repeat, that we will live these same lives again, make the same choices, feel the same joys and sorrows endlessly. It is a haunting thought and yet also comforting. If true, then nothing is ever truly lost. Every smile, every act of love, every small kindness will shine again in some future dawn. And if false, if each cycle births something wholly new? Then wonder itself is infinite, for no creation will ever be the same twice. In either case, eternity is generous. It gives endlessly, either in repetition or reinvention. So what happens at the exact moment when eternity begins again? Perhaps there is no moment at all. Perhaps the transition is seamless, the old universe fading like a sunset, and the new one rising like a dawn, both reflections of the same eternal light. In that merging, there is no division between life and death, beginning and end, only transformation. The cosmos exhales one last time, and in that breath, the next inhalation has already begun. We, standing here in our brief window of awareness, are the witnesses to this grand rhythm. Our existence is part of eternity's pulse. We live inside one of its infinite beginnings, a single verse in a song that has no final note. Every thought, every heartbeat, every quiet moment beneath the stars is proof that eternity is already here, unfolding through us, remembering itself in human form. And when this universe has given all it can give, when its last photon fades into the calm beyond comprehension, eternity will not mourn. It will wait. It will listen to its own silence, and from that silence, it will breathe again, a new cosmos, a new beginning. Another chance for atoms to become aware, for time to dream, for existence to feel the wonder of itself once more. Eternity, it seems, does not end as it simply changes its shape, and somewhere, in the endless turning of that invisible wheel, the story begins again. There will come a moment, though calling it a moment is itself a kind of illusion, when the universe will take its final breath. Every galaxy will have drifted away from every other, their light stretched so thin across the darkness that even eternity itself will struggle to remember their names. The stars will have died, the black holes will have evaporated, and the last atom will have lost its energy to the endless cold. What remains will not be chaos, but stillness, a stillness so deep that time itself forgets how to move. And yet, paradoxically, that is when the final secret of time will be revealed. The last second does not end. It lingers, infinite and unbroken, an echo of existence that refuses to fade. If one could stand at the very edge of that dying universe, one might expect to witness the final flicker, the cosmic clock striking its last tick before silence. But no such tick comes. There is no sound, no collapse, no final flash. The universe does not die with a cry, but with a whisper that never fully finishes. Because for time to end, there must be something beyond it to measure that ending. And there is not. Time cannot witness its own death. It only dissolves quietly into itself. The last second stretches outward, endlessly dilating until its borders dissolve into the eternal. That second becomes eternity. In physics, we call this the heat death, the point when entropy has reached its absolute maximum, when all gradients have flattened and all motion has ceased. But in truth, heat death is only a metaphor. What truly happens is that the universe becomes uniform. Every point in space holds the same amount of energy, or more precisely, the same lack of it. Without difference, there is no change. Without change, there is no time. The ticking stops not because the clock is broken, but because there is nothing left to count. And yet the silence is not empty. Within the quantum vacuum, that invisible ocean that underlies all of existence, fluctuations never completely vanish. Even in perfect stillness, uncertainty remains. Every point in space holds a probability, a tremor, a possibility that something might occur. This is the irony of nothingness. It can never truly be nothing. Even when all light fades, the vacuum hums softly like a memory too deep to silence. It is here, in this impossible stillness, that the last second begins to unfold, not as an end, but as an unending now. To the human mind, such stillness is unimaginable, Our lives are built upon motion, heartbeats, thoughts, orbits, tides. Time gives shape to existence, sculpting experience into sequence. Without it, there is no before or after, no cause or consequence. But at the universe's edge, cause and effect no longer matter. Everything simply is. Every particle, every wave, every whisper of what once was, frozen together in an eternal simultaneity. From the outside, if such a view could exist, the universe would appear to have stopped. But from the inside, from within that last second, everything that has ever been still exists, still unfolding in infinite detail. Every life, every memory, every flicker of consciousness suspended forever, never fading, never aging. Some cosmologists speculate that at the boundary of this final stillness, quantum effects could awaken again, that new fluctuations could seed new universes, each one emerging from the still surface of the old. If so, then the last second is not merely eternal, but fertile. It holds within it the potential for rebirth, for the next great expansion, for another beginning. The end of one timeline becomes the womb of another. From one perspective, time ends. From another, it starts again. The universe becomes a perpetual breath, inhaling and exhaling creation without ever truly resting. But there is another, quieter interpretation, one that is more poetic than scientific. Perhaps the last second never ends because it was never meant to. Perhaps time was never a river flowing from past to future, but a lake, perfectly still, reflecting all moments at once. What we experience as motion is simply our awareness moving across that reflection. Birth, death, decay, love, loss. All of it already exists, always has, always will. In that view, the last second is not at the end of the story. It is the story itself, a frame that contains all others. If you could see time from the outside, it might look like a single luminous sphere, every second, every life, every star glowing together as one. The Big Bang would not be the start, nor would the final fade be the end. Both would exist simultaneously, connected by the same light. The first breath of the cosmos and its final sigh would be one and the same, two halves of a timeless whole. Eternity is not ahead or behind us. It is beneath everything, woven into the quiet structure of existence. When you stare up at the night sky, what you are seeing is not the past or the present. You are seeing the last second that never ends. The light from distant galaxies, still traveling toward us, carries ancient memories across unimaginable distances. Each photon that touches your eye is a messenger from a moment that technically no longer exists. And yet, here it is, alive again in your perception. That is the paradox of time. It passes, and yet it stays. The universe keeps its memories alive through light, through gravity, through the endless persistence of motion. Even as it approaches silence, it keeps whispering what it once was. To stand in that awareness, that every instant is eternal, is to feel something like peace. The fear of endings begins to fade. Death becomes transformation. Absence becomes quiet presence. We realize that the last second is already here, just as the first one still lingers. Every breath we take is part of that same infinite stretch, every heartbeat an echo of the universe's own rhythm. You are living inside eternity, not moving through it, but made of it. The illusion of passage is simply how consciousness perceives creation unfolding. And so, when the final galaxy has faded, when no observer remains to measure or remember, the story does not stop. The last second continues, endlessly slow, endlessly vast. Within it, everything remains preserved. Every dream, every sound, every shimmer of light that ever was. It is not a void, but a memory, an eternal present holding all that was possible. This, perhaps, is the final secret of time, that it never truly ends, because it never truly began. In that last, unending instant, There is no boundary between existence and non-existence. The difference collapses like two mirrors facing one another, reflecting forever. Time ceases to flow because everything it could ever carry is already here. The clock stops, but its echo goes on. The light fades, but its warmth still hums in the structure of space. Even nothingness cannot erase what has been. So if you ever find yourself staring into the dark, feeling the quiet weight of the universe pressing around you, remember, you are inside the last second that never ends. You have always been. You always will be. The cosmos, in its infinite patience, has folded you into its memory, and there you will remain, not as dust, but as meaning, and perhaps that is what eternity really is. Not endless time, but endless significance. The final heartbeat of creation, stretched into infinity, a single second so vast that it holds everything within it. The universe does not die. It remembers, and in that remembrance the last second never truly ends.